So which deck do you book your stateroom on your Disney cruise? I have learned the hard way, and I'm going to tell you why you should book certain decks and why you shouldn't book certain decks. So what deck should you choose for your stateroom? Some people just select the very first room that Disney gives them on their website and say, yep, that's my room. Others, like myself, like to go through each available room that they have showing and then figure out why I either want that room or don't want that room. So I'm going to hopefully help you on your decision-making process. In this video, I will highlight my favorite deck to be on and my least favorite deck to be on and why. If you are not a part of our Disney Cruisers family, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. Make sure you stay to the end of this video. I'm going to tell you how to find my favorite tool that I use when I am booking my room. On our very first cruise that I booked us on deck 7. Well, months later, as it got closer to the cruise, a Florida resident rate came out. So naturally, I called to get the better rate, and not only did it save me like $800, but I also was able to upgrade to a veranda. Well, by doing this, it changed my room category, which then meant I had to book somewhere else on the ship. So I was on the phone with these super helpful gentlemen. We went over all the rooms, and what was left was basically, I wanted midship. And so the only deck that was left for midship was deck 10, which was fine. I didn't really care. You know, he mentioned to be close to the, one deck below the pool area and food, cabanas, and I thought that was fine. I didn't really see an issue. I read somewhere, I don't even know if it's true, about seasickness, that you want to be in the middle of the ship and the highest up, but I've also read that you want to be the lowest. I don't really know. But either way, I thought, okay, this was good. It was our first cruise. Didn't know if we'd get sick or claustrophobic, so we thought it would be good to be higher up in the middle, so that's what we did. So we get there, we open our door, love the room. Love it. It was spotlessly clean, so open. You could see right out the veranda to the ocean. It was lovely. We loved it. No problems. Later that night, we decided to stay up till, I think we were up till like 11 or 12. So by the time that I got ready for bed, got into bed, it was closer to 1. Well, let me tell you, I know what time that they move all the chairs around up on the pool deck. It's 1 in the morning, and I heard every single chair being scraped on my ceiling, basically. And I'm pretty sure it's when, because we weren't under the pool deck, because I also heard that, like, you could hear people and chairs moving all day long if you're under the pool deck. Well, we didn't hear anything all day. It was just when it got to 1 o'clock at night and I heard them, and since then I've realized we were on the Dream, and we were below like Luigi's and Tomators. And so there's tables and chairs there. Well, I think what I heard was them stacking them, because they stack them every night and then they clean, and then they unstack them in the morning. Well, they unstacked them at 6 a.m. So I was not falling asleep because of the chairs until like about 2 a.m. And then at 6 a.m. I was awoken by these same chairs being put back out. And because Disney's awesome, seriously, and they clean like crazy, I'm fine with them cleaning, but just every night, from at 1 and at 6, I was not happy, and so I was not sleeping. So I was trying to take naps throughout the day, but then I didn't want to miss things, so I was very tired on this trip. But I still had a blast. I just learned my lesson. Don't book on deck 10. And so now I don't. And it's the same, it's the equivalent on the classic ships to deck 8. It's the one that's right below the pool deck. So don't book right below the pool deck. So I kind of broke up the negatives into 2 categories. There's noise and there's traffic. So noise-wise, if you don't want to hear any noise, don't book 1 deck below the pool decks. Also, there's a slight possibility that you could hear noise at certain times of the day if you were on deck 2, because it is right below the dining rooms, some of the dining rooms. But most of the time when you would hear noise there, you probably wouldn't be in your room anyways, because you would be eating dinner, because that's when the dining rooms are full, or seeing the show. But if you absolutely want to make sure that your room is quiet, then I would stay away from the first deck underneath the pool deck and then deck 2. But deck 2 isn't like, it's not as bad. All right, now if you're wanting to pick your room based on traffic, crowdedness, people walking outside of your door, then really I think the main deck that you just should stay off of is deck 5. It's not as big of a deal on the classic ships as it is on the Dream and the Fantasy, but deck 5 is where the kids club is, which you can't really, it's enclosed, it's not like it's loud. That's why I'm not saying it's a noisy deck. But especially on the, if you're coming off of the aft elevators and the forward elevators on deck 5, to get to the kids club, you're passing staterooms. And if you're one of those staterooms, people are going to be passing your door constantly. Like, it's open like from early morning till super late at night, like midnight or later. So there's always going to be people walking right there. That also means that the elevators and the stairwells in that area are a little bit more busy. Just something to think about. But if you're worried about traffic and people going by a lot, then I would steer clear of deck 5 on all 4 ships. People could also be loud on other hallways running down. Sometimes kids just run, or people like to shout to their family members halfway down the hallway. But that's going to happen anywhere. You just never know when that happens. But if you want to avoid specific things, then stay off of deck 5. My favorite deck to have a stateroom on is deck 9 on the Dream class ships and deck 7 on the classic ships. That is because it is sandwiched in between staterooms. So there are staterooms above you and staterooms below you. I think the best decks are the ones that do have staterooms above and below you. You want to be in the middle of a sandwich. Now on the classic ships, you really can only do that on deck 7. And then on, because kids clubs are below 6, so it's 6 technically, but you really are going to be right above kids clubs. I've never stayed there, so I'm not sure about noise level. And then on the Dream and Fantasy, that would be decks 7, 8, and 9. So those are all sandwiched to where you have people above and below you. There's no chairs, there's no restaurants, there's nothing there, it's just people. Deck 9 is my absolute top favorite deck to be on. I do think you have to pay a little bit more money. The further midship you are and the further up, you end up paying a little bit more money. I think it's worth it. Deck 9, you only are 2 flights up to go up to Cabanas, the pool deck, or wherever. That seems to be the place where if I need something, that's where I end up. So I don't have to wait on an elevator. We don't really even take the elevator much, because if we're going up, it's really short, or we're just going down the whole time. So being from our stateroom, it's quite convenient to be on deck 9. Some people do think it's harder when you're up higher to get an elevator to get places. If you do need an elevator, it might be a little more challenging on the upper decks, but you should check out my elevator video, and I'll tell you how to be a professional Disney Cruise Line elevator rider and how to beat the crowd and kind of cheat the system a little bit to get your elevators. But I totally recommend deck 9 or deck 7 on the classic ships. They are, I can't even think of a negative to say about them. I think they're the best. Whenever I book my cruise, I always go on to the Disney Cruise Line website, look to see what available rooms they have, and then I like to use a certain resource that really helps me decide, like, officially where I want to be. And I kind of browse over it for about 10 or 15 minutes, so I do put some thought into it. Even now, I know the entire layout of the ships, and I still do this. So what you want to do is you want to Google Disney Cruise Line deck plan, and then you can, on their website, on the Disney Cruise Line website, it'll show you the deck plans, but it'll show you one at a time, so you can't really compare and see what's above and below. But if you don't go to the website, if you actually just Google Disney Cruise Line deck plan and then go to the images, you'll see images for the Dream class and the classic ships, and you can see it's every single deck laid out right next to each other, and then it's where it's located. So you can find your room that you're looking at on that deck plan, and then look to your left and to your right to see what is right above you and what is below you, and where your room is in relation to anything that you would want on the ship. So I would highly recommend doing that every time you book your cruise. I still do it. If you have a preference about which deck you like to be on, leave it in the comments below, because I would love to get your input on something, because I haven't been on every deck everywhere on the ship, so maybe you know something that I don't. So go ahead and leave a comment below and tell me your opinion. Thank you for sticking with your Disney Cruisers family, and I will see you guys next time, maybe on a cruise. Bye!